What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about T2. Friday was relatively positive for the stock. I want to go over some of the data points, what came out from the company, and what I truly feel is coming next. Before I get into any of that though, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So Friday, it did go up 23.89%, a little bit high for volume for a Friday especially, which usually is lower, but 110.21 million shares being traded, 118 is the average. And as I did indicate, I think I was assuming that there was going to be relatively high volume on Friday because that was the last trading day in the quarter. So you're going to have a lot of institutions and ETFs and kind of rebalancing their portfolios and readjusting T2, their position in T2. So I think that is why there was a little bit higher volume for that Friday. And these are some of the institutions that could have rebalanced their portfolios, but nothing substantial because there was no transactions over $100,000 that did occur on the secondary market. Similarly to the dark pool, there wasn't any big transactions over $100,000. Dark pool is very much linked to shorting, so I'll give you an overview of what they did. But starting off, I want to go over options, because this one was fairly optimistic. So $21,000 in calls being purchased versus a very small, measly $362 in puts, because I guess that kind of makes sense, right? Why on earth would anyone assume any potential downside? So this is very, very optimistic. A lot of people don't realize this, that in reality, this in some sense could be the potential bottom for T2. So again, that's kind of leading me into what I feel is coming next, especially if you do match it with this. So based on the news, there was nothing that did come out on Friday, but as far as SEC filings, there was another Form 4 that did come out, and you know where I'm leading with this. Good old CR Group did sell out some of their shares. In fact, they actually sold out the remaining part of their shares. They have 0 shares available. Some people like this, some people don't, because we still do not know officially why CR Group did dump all of their shares, all of their position for whatever reason. But at the same time, some people are seeing some optimism about this, because for them to dump almost about, I think it was 14% of the full outstanding shares on the market, that does signal that there is a lot of buyers out there. And again, this is kind of leading me to my next point. But just to start off, as far as why it did go up on Friday. So I did a video after hours on Thursday on why it spiked, and it was largely due to this article that was posted on Twitter. So it does say, beginning this fall, hospitals could be at risk of losing funding if they do not meet certain benchmarks for sepsis care due to a Biden administration rule proposed in August. So for the most part, it just goes on to explain what they are looking for, which kind of explains to a T what T2 does. So again, I think that's a fairly good thing. It doesn't actually call out T2, so just be completely aware of that. But moving on from here, I'll give you a quick overview of what shorts did on Friday. So short score is currently 79, utilization is 89.59, and looking right here, 626,000 shares was increased on Friday. 13.66% of the free float is being shorted. 42.74 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 60.22, and the max being 237.64%. So like I've indicated on the past, on paper, this does have everything that you need for a good squeeze. It's just been missing the fourth component. And in order for a squeeze to occur on any stock, you need 4 things. One of which is a high utilization. Second is a high amount of shares being shorted. Third is a relatively high cost to borrow. So technically T2 has all of those. The only thing it's been really missing right now is essentially a surprise catalyst. And that's why I've been nudging on a lot of my videos for, I guess, maybe if someone from T2 was paying attention or listening, then they can come out with a marketing plan, because that would be a very good fourth component, a good surprise catalyst that could cause a squeeze from shorts. And you also have to factor in, this is just known shorts. That is not encumbering any failure to delivers and naked shorting. So definitely it could get very interesting. But at the same time, I know a lot of people did not want this to be considered a meme stock, which I get it, because it does devalue the actual credibility of the company and many things like that. But I think based on a lot of the articles, I think it's kind of too far gone to see it as anything else. So unfortunately, I think that T2 is going to be considered a official meme stock, unfortunately, especially considering a lot of retail is really getting in and vibing with T2 and what they are offering. Just my own opinion, no financial advisor. But when it comes down to it, like I said already, I feel like something big is coming, and it might not be from T2. And of course, when it comes down to CR Group, obviously selling a substantial amount of their position and many other circumstances like I indicated, especially based on the options, a lot of optimism going into next week. Just randomly, I feel like there might be a hostile takeover coming. And what that would look like is, as of right now, if we go over here, there's currently 333.58 million outstanding shares. So for a hostile takeover to occur, or at least just a controlling interest, a company does have to buy at least 51% of the outstanding shares for them to be considered a controlling interest, or eventually just a hostile takeover. And so one thing that, and this does happen more common than not than what a lot of people realize, but typically there's a lot of negative articles that do come out to bash a stock, which causes the stock price to go down. And then in turn, this is where a company essentially could just swoop in and buy it for basically 10 cents on the dollar, because you have to factor in the market cap right now is 73.86 million. That is just like garbage. That is very, very low. And as I've even indicated, just based on the assets alone, not even talking about the intellectual property that recently was approved by the FDA, just based on assets, it's almost about double that. And that's based on the latest Morningstar report that I've been sharing with you. So it's at a substantial discount for many, many reasons. A lot of negative articles saying that they don't have the balance sheet to actually push out this revolutionary technology, many other things. So companies swoop in, buy it for 10 cents on the dollar, and then as soon as they do that, mysteriously you see a lot more positive articles start to come out. So I do feel that might be coming down the pipeline very soon, in my opinion, and that is clearly just a complete far-fetched guess that maybe Big Pharma technically is wanting to buy T2, again 10 cents on the dollar, relatively cheap. But I do find this very, very odd, just based on the overall amount of options and everything else that is coming out. It just does signal that something is happening behind the scenes. So that's just my own thoughts on potentially what might be coming. So let me know your thoughts on that. Do you think that is too far-fetched? Do you think a hostile takeover is potentially coming? And if so, by who? So give yourself a shout out if you have been buying, selling, holding, what you've been doing with T2 in the comments below. As well, do you think that it is ever going to squeeze? And if so, how high do you think it could go? So let me know your thoughts on that. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend. So don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And as I've been sharing with you, there is an amazing promo. It's been extended up until October the 20th. But if you do sign up for an account with Moomoo, just throw $100 at the account. You get 5 free stocks. Each stock could be valued up to $2,000. So this is one of the best deals on the market. So link is in the description below and also the comments. So with all that said, I appreciate all of you watching, and let's eventually make a ton of money on T2.